Excuse me, sir, is this the Delta House?
Sure. Come on in.
They have cold beer and action on the game.
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
It's time for the Degenerates Next Door.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Happy New Year from your favorite gambling degenerate pals. My name is Jason Hammer, former elected official, tax-cutting machine, Rob Kendall. Right across from me, we are the Degenerates Next Door. And Rob, week 18 of the NFL season. This is always an interesting week because you got some teams playing for things. You've got other teams ready to go to Cancun. So you got to try to find the balance of what's going on here. Before we get into individual picks, just kind of looking at the schedule here, how comfortable do you feel in your plays today?
I hate everything. Have I been clear about that? I hate everything. This is so hard. This is the hardest week of the year to bet because you don't know who's going to play. They could play half a, depends on what happens in the morning game. If you got a late game, there's only one game with actual, it will have meaning, and that's the Sunday night game. All these other games could be irrelevant to each other. I'm going to give it a go, right? But I just want to preface everything by saying I have no frickin' idea, and I've done so well when I have an idea. I've done so well all year.
Quote, I have no frickin' idea. This show is brought to you by StatFactory.io. StatFactory.io, your one-stop shop for all things sports betting information. Get all the statistics, not just for the NFL, but the college football playoff, the NBA, college basketball's up now. And coming soon, this awesome AI feature where this animated but looks real chick with huge boobs is going to tell you what she thinks of the bet that you've got lined up. So jump on board right now. Free preview, statfactory.io. Make sure you sign up. All right, you brought up the game. Let's get into it. Sunday night, the Vikings at Detroit. Detroit is a home 2.5-point favorite. The over-under, depending on where you're looking, around 55.5.
Yeah, okay, so this is where StatFactory.io comes in. You got to shop. They got all those betting sites right there for you. You can compare. There was a point difference. I saw it at 56.5 and 55.5. You choose accordingly, whether you're going over or under. Here's the deal. Lions offense, amazing. Their defense, Stinksville. Lions are a video game on offense, averaging 33 points in their last three, but also giving up 33 points in their last three. They're averaging 38.7 in their last three at home, but also giving up 33. Public school math tells me that's 71.7 points. Vikings have averaged 28 points in the last three. They scored 29 the last time these two teams got together. I'm going over 55.5 points.
Big number.
Yeah.
But if you think about the last couple of times there's been this big of a number in the NFL, it usually does cash that over.
But
with so much on the line here, that's why I wasn't sure, if what's at stake, was part of the bet.
Well, here's the interesting thing. The Lions have been over. I saw the stat yesterday. They've been over 53 points 5 times this year. I think, and they're 4-1 in those games in terms of hitting the over. So they can. I mean, did you see them play defense against the 49ers? 49ers have 2
Nobody
guys.
saw them play defense against the 49ers.
Exactly. Justin Jefferson might catch 300 yards worth of passes.
All right, so I'm staying on that game. It's the biggest game of the weekend. We're grown-ass men. We're going to bet it. I'm taking the Lions here. Just for the mere factor, they're at home, right? Sometimes we get so caught up in the minutia of, what about this? What about that? I'm somebody that still believes home field advantage in the NFL is worth a field goal. At least a field goal. And these fans are going to be rocking and rolling because the winner of this game gets the number 1 seed, and the loser is going to be a 14-win wild card going on the road. And nobody wants to go on the road in the playoffs because that sucks. So give me the Lions. I think it's a great game. I think it's close. Might even come down to a field goal. And if that's the case, my toes are tapping. I'm with Detroit -2.5 at home. Interesting game here, Rob. A little Saturday afternoon special. Now, normally you're Mr. Monday night.
Yeah.
But those days are done. No Monday Night Football until next year. But we got Saturday afternoon special here. Cincinnati and the Steelers. Cincinnati is a 1.5-point favorite against the Steelers. What say you?
Okay, so you got to ride the hot hand here, right? The Bengals are laying 1.5, and the Bengals have been amazing as of late. The Bengals defense stinks, but it seems like the league has figured out Russell Wilson. He's been garbage. You seen these last 3 games? You and I have lost multiple times on him in the last 3 games.
Russell Wilson's NFL season, in many ways, has been like my college football betting season. Man, look how good this guy is. Wow. My God, build a statue. And then the very next week, I hate this guy, and if he disappeared forever, I think the world would be a better place.
And the Steelers are supposed to have this great defense. They've given up an average of 30 points the last 3 games, only scoring 13. The Bengals' defense stinks again, but the Steelers are already in the playoffs. Bengals are the only team with something to play for. I'll take the Bengals laying 1.5.
The Fighting Joe Burrows laying 1.5 against the Steelers. Kansas City on the road at Denver. This is a game Denver needs to have to get in the playoffs. This is a big number. Denver is a 10.5-point home favorite because Kansas City is resting their starters. But there's a thing that some NFL guys have, Rob. The reason why they made it to the league, pride, right? Some of these dudes still have pride. And I know Kansas City is resting all of their starters this week, but I just can't see Andy Reid and the dudes that are wearing that Chiefs uniform mailing it in, especially to allow a divisional opponent to sneak into the playoffs here. This is a pretty big spot for a rookie quarterback, Bo Nix. Now, Bo has been pretty good this year by rookie standards. I say rookie because he's like 47 years old. He's like on 90210 when Luke Perry was playing Dylan. Dude was like bringing his own kids to school. Bo Nix is like the oldest rookie in the league, but he's been all right. But this is a big moment for him. You're at home against the defending champions. They're resting starters, but that's still Andy Reid on the other side. And I'm thinking about this from the Chiefs' perspective here. If you're Carson Wentz, if you're these backup dudes, you are playing for your spots in the league next year.
That's right.
So this is too big of a number. I think Denver might win this thing, but I think the backups of Kansas City make this a ball game. Give me Kansas City with 10.5 points.
You want the greatest line in the history of 90210, and it changed my dating life and helped me forever with chicks that were out of my league?
Please.
Is it Ian Ziering or Ian Ziering?
Either way.
Yeah, Ian Ziering. There's one episode where he hooks up with Tiffany Amber Thiessen, Valerie Malone.
Which, by the way, Valerie Malone in 90210, played by Tiffany Thiessen, greater than Kelly Kapowski, played by Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
100%. He hooks up with her. She's, of course, way out of his league. She looks at him and goes, "Don't tell anybody." And he looks back at her and goes, "I won't. Nobody'd believe me anyway." And I learned at 13 years old, junior high Rob Kendall learned, if you just keep your mouth shut, all chicks need some, even ones way out of your league. If they think you'll keep your mouth shut, you're in, buddy. You're in.
Oh, and by the way, entering the chat is Tiffany Amber Thiessen and the Ladies' Man.
You love that one.
Dude, when she answers the door as Honey DeLune in that black little bustier, it doesn't get much better than that. Speaking of doesn't get much better than that, Rob, as a Chicago Bears fan,
that's right.
You've had a great year watching Caleb Williams develop and grow and lead this team, haven't you?
Boy, you talk about pride. You want to talk about somebody with no pride. It's the Chicago Bears. The Bears are getting 10 points against the Packers. 10 is a lot, and the Packers are already in the playoffs. But here's the thing. The Bears are awful. They have no pride. I know the Packers don't have a ton to play for, but they love beating the crap out of the Chicago Bears. Jordan Love has picked up where Andrew Luck, where Aaron Rodgers left off. I know everything says the Bears should be able to keep it within 10, but have you seen the Bears play? I'd take this up to 27.5 points. I'll take the Packers laying the 10.
Oh, you want to talk about Aaron Rodgers, huh? You want to talk about Aaron? Let's go to the Dolphins at the Jets. The Dolphins on life support, technically, for a playoff bid here. They've got to basically have a Powerball-like situation to have an opportunity, but they're -1. Dolphins, 1-point favorite at the Jets. Over-under is 39. Aaron, one passing touchdown away from number 500 in his career.
Buddy.
And this could be his final game with the Jets. Hell, who knows? Might be his final game in the league. I don't know. But Aaron Rodgers wants 500 passing touchdowns. And if you look at this Dolphins injury report here, Waddle, questionable. Their best linebacker, Walker Jr., questionable. Tua, questionable. And everything that I'm reading, that's a questionable. Like, he's not looking good. So if Tua can't go, Tyler Huntley will make his fifth start of the season. Exactly. The Jets are a disaster, but they're relatively healthy. And I think Aaron Rodgers wants to prove that if it's not with the Jets, if he wants to, he could still play in the league next year. He wants to show the Indianapolis Colts that I still got something in the tank. So when you inevitably, bring me in to be your quarterback, because that's what the Colts do, they draft either bad rookies or washed-up vets. Aaron Rodgers wants to have a final, lasting message in the minds of general managers. Jets, Jets. Give me the Jets catching 1 point at home. You know what? Screw it. Money line.
Yeah!
New York Jets.
Yeah!
Take that point, shove it up your ass.
Yeah!
Give me the Jets money line. All right, going to take a little break. When we come back, boy, we got a big game for you. Massive game. We'll tell you what it is next. Back on the Degenerates Next Door, brought to you by StatFactory.io. Take advantage of the free preview they got going on right now. StatFactory.io. All of the statistics, all of the home versus away, full season, last 3 games. Anytime you've heard a bookmaker say, the model shows this, this is the model.
Yeah.
This is what you're looking for. So sign up today, StatFactory.io. The big AI feature is coming soon. Every once in a while, Rob, there's a game where you schedule your life around. You cancel plans.
Uh-huh.
If your wife wants to go on a vacation, you say, honey, we can't this weekend because the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the road against the Indianapolis Colts. And Jacksonville, they're not good. But the Indianapolis Colts, they may be worse. The Colts are 4.5-point home favorites against Jacksonville. Don't know the status of Anthony Richardson at the time of this recording. We do this on Thursdays around noon. Looks like signs are pointing to he might give it a go. The over-under is 45.
Have I spelled out and prefaced that I hate all of these games this week?
I believe you've made that clear.
I've done that. All right. I want to be very clear. Although I did that on, Monday Night Football, and it paid off. I said, I hate this Lions game, and I got it right.
You know who you are? You're Lou Holtz. Because Lou Holtz, back when he was Notre Dame's head coach in football, would always talk about how great his opponent is, even if it was Air Force. Well, I just don't think we have anything for Air Force. And then they'd go out and beat him by 40. That's who you are right now.
You mentioned pride earlier. Another group that has no pride is the Indianapolis Colts. Imagine that. I hit the ball and on a budget last week, except the Colts couldn't win by 2.5 over the Giants.
That's bad. That was a bad
Bought
bad
it down.
look. That was the type of game where people should have been fired on the spot.
Yeah.
Like, remember when USC fired Lane Kiffin and they wouldn't let him get on the bus?
Yeah.
Like, that was the type of game. Gus Bradley should not have been allowed to come back to Indianapolis.
All right, we're going to find out if the Colts have any pride or decency. You mentioned the Jags suck. They don't have playmakers that are close to Malik Neighbors. I think he's still catching passes from that Sunday game. The Colts can score. They did score in that game. Their defense stinks. I'll kick myself in the backside one final time this year. I'll take the Colts laying 4.5.
So you're on the Colts at home against the Jags.
Is Mac Jones the quarterback for the Jags?
He is. So listen, all joking aside, you've got to be a real degenerate to play this game this weekend.
Yeah.
You've got to be somebody that has zero moral compass to play this game. And you son of a bitch, I'm playing it too. So the total is 45, Rob. 45 is the number. You bring up Mac Jones. Mac Jones hasn't been awful for the Jags. He's shown some signs of life. And plus, we think there may be some turnovers here. Whoever the Colts start at quarterback is going to throw it to the other team, whether it's Richardson or whether it's Flacco. Pick your poison, dealer's choice. Whoever it is throwing it to the other team. But you expect me to bet the under in a game featuring a team that just gave up a 40 burger to the New York Giants? You want me to bet the under on a team that let Drew Lock put a 40 burger on them?
Hell no. To the no, no, no.
Hell no.
Yeah, to the no.
We're not doing it, Rob.
To the no. To the no.
Just can't do it.
No.
I don't know if this is the right play or not, but I just can't bet the under on a team that gave up a 40 burger to the Giants, who were trying to tank for the number one pick. You look at the last 4 meetings of these teams, including earlier this year, they've all gone way over. I'm going over 45.
All right, let's see what our professional has lined up for Week 18. It's always tough, Kenny, when we're talking about Week 18 because you don't know who's going to play, who's going to mail it in, what's going on. So tell us a little bit about what is on your card this week.
All right. Hey, guys. Happy New Year. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's a scary week. It always is. There's only maybe a half a dozen games we should be looking at to bet on because the other ones you just don't know what's going to happen. Even Matthew Stafford's going to sit out. They're still fighting for a 3 seed, and if they don't win the West, they will have to go to either Detroit or Minnesota. So that really surprised me that he's sitting out this weekend.
Yeah, and some of these games, they're just teams that are awful. Like, Rob and I were joking about the schedule here, but some teams are playing for something, some teams are not playing for anything, and every once in a while you get the NFL edition of the Degenerate Special where both teams suck and both teams are mailing it in.
Yeah, and then you'll have players that, they don't tell you this in advance, they're just going to play the first half, or they're just trying to get a bonus, on yardage or something. So it's really a tough week. So having said that, what I'm looking at is Detroit, Minnesota, obviously, by far the best game of the week, probably the year. The total's 56.5. Detroit's defense is in shambles. Last time they played, they scored 60. There's firepower all over the field. Everything points to over 56.5. So I like the under. I'm being serious.
A little misdirection there. All right.
Little Pat McAfee last year on game day with Georgia and Bama. But, this is a playoff game, and both these teams want a number one seed bad. A lot of times when you get a game like this, it's supposed to be a high-scoring game, Jason. I know it's the opposite. It's 20-17 or something. I got a feeling Minnesota's going to win this game, and I think once they get the lead, they're going to run the ball and control the clock. Detroit's just so beat up defensively. You almost got to feel sorry for them.
Okay.
So I like the under. I like under 56.5 for no other reason than a gut feeling, to be honest with you.
Okay. So going around the horn here, I am on the Lions. They are going to lay 2.5. My thinking, Kenny, is home field advantage in the NFL. It's worth 3 points. I see the line at 2.5. Bada bing, bada boom. Rob Kendall, he's going in on the over, and you, Kenny Britt, of KB Sports, you're going in on the under. Damn it, somebody's going to win this thing, right?
We're all over the place. Yeah, we're going to go 33% between the three of us. It's just a gut, man. It's just a gut feeling. You get those sometimes.
Sure.
Everything says over. Everything. And I just got a feeling it's going to be a low-scoring game. And this is a de facto playoff game.
You're right.
And playoff games are typically lower-scoring games.
KB Sports, that's where you can find Kenny Britt. He is a big, hairy American winning machine, has been rolling in the NFL. And, my man, you offer other stuff, too, because I know football season's getting toward the end here, but that doesn't mean the winning has to come to an end.
That's right. If people aren't familiar with what's called a ladder challenge, I do those on my Facebook page. Again, like Jason said, KB Sports. We start at $25 for 5 days, and we roll winnings in each day if we win. And in the last 2 weeks, we've hit 2 of those for a total of $1,049. It doesn't cost you anything for my service. It's just something I do for free on my page. And 2 of them have hit in the last 2 weeks where you start with 25. One of them won almost 600. One of them won almost 500. So, yep, do that. Do basketball. I get free props on the Facebook page, all that good stuff. So check me out at KB Sports on Facebook.
KB Sports. Kenny Britt, you're the best. Have a great new year, brother, and we'll talk again next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, going to hit a little break here, but fear not. Week 18 edition of the Prop Shop. Week 18 edition of Ballin' on a Budget. We've got all of that coming up. We are the Degenerates Next Door.
Week 18 edition of the Degenerates Next Door. I'm Jason Hammer. Rob Kendall is here, as always, powered by StatFactory.io. Got a little AFC South action here. The Texans at the Titans. The over-under is 38.5. The Texans are a 1-point favorite, and it sounds like the Texans are going to play starters for a little bit. That's the game plan. From everything we've been able to read, from all of the insider reports, the Texans want that first unit to try to work some of the rust off before the playoffs begin. So you will see Texan starters early. Now, how long they play, no idea. It's probably not going to be the full game, which is why I'm on Texans money line first half. The line itself is only 1, so just take Texans money line first half. Feels like C.J. Stroud and the gang going to try to work off a little bit of rust. Rob, the Saints at the Bucks. New Orleans at Tampa Bay. A lot of action going on in New Orleans. If you want to get our thoughts on that, you can listen to our respective radio shows, our news talk radio shows. But from a football perspective, New Orleans at Tampa Bay. Big number, 13. Buccaneers, a 13-point favorite, over under around 43.
Yeah, huge favorites have been covering the last few weeks, other than the Colts, of course. As teams tank and quit, the Saints have scored 29 points in the last 3 games. Bucs have one of the best offenses in the league. Now, this pick is predicated on Kamara and Carr not playing. There's a chance they might. If they do, I'm reserving the right to change this pick.
Now, every once in a while, we can go on to social media before the game starts and call for an audible, right? So that's why it's important to follow the Degenerates Next Door on Twitter, or us individually, at Rob M. Kendall or at Jason Allen Hammer.
So I'm laying the Bucs 13 if all things remain as they are. Here's the problem for you, Hammer. My audible game is the -2.5 for the Lions.
Okay. So if you're already in on the over with the Lions, what you're telling me is that you could, in theory, have a little 2-team parlay action.
Could. I don't want to do this to you, though. I don't want to cost you what could be an easy win. So I don't want to do that to you. Let's just hope Derek Carr doesn't play.
Because whenever I have a bet, and then I find out that Rob has that same bet, the best thing you can do is bet the other side.
That's right.
Because nobody brings more bad mojo, nobody brings more bad luck to the table than the former elected official of the state of Indiana, Rob Kendall.
5-1 in my last 6 college football playoff games, though. Sucker!
So there's a little tear coming out of my eye right now. This is the last full edition of the Prop Shop.
I take you to the
Prop
shop. I let you lick the lollipop. Go ahead, girl, don't you stop. Keep on going till you hit the
Prop.
We're still going to hear the song. We're still going to make prop bets as the playoffs move on, and eventually we move on to the NBA and college basketball, but there's just something magical about a full slate of NFL games, picking and choosing the props that you want. So let's start with the big one here. Detroit, Minnesota, Jared Goff, over 270 yards passing. If the odds makers are right, and there's going to be some offense here, Lions are throwing the ball. Over 270 with Jared Goff. Keep it in the same game here. Lions running back, Gibbs, Jamar Gibbs. I like him under 87.5 yards. Everything I just said about Jared Goff, apply that to Gibbs. Lions are going to throw the ball. They're going to attack the secondary of Minnesota, and Gibbs will get some touchdowns, but I don't know if he gets 87.5 yards. We're going under that total. Chase Brown of Cincinnati, under 68.5 yards rushing. Steelers are tough to run against, but Joe Burrow loves to throw it, and he's damn good at throwing it. So I think Cincinnati airs it out, which means bad news for Chase Brown, but good news for under bettors, under 68.5. Jaylen Warren, wide receiver for the Steelers, over 21.5 yards receiving. If you're somebody like Rob that feels like the Bengals will be winning or ahead at some point, that means the Steelers got to throw the ball. And the Bengals defense stinks. Boy, do they stink. And a guy that will be left alone or have one-on-one coverage is Jaylen Warren. He's gone over this total the last couple of weeks. We're going to ride the Lightning over 21.5. And Jerry Jeudy, Browns wide receiver, over 49.5 against the Ravens. Sounds like the Ravens may be mailing it in. So this is a time for Jerry Jeudy to hit those contract incentives. We're going over 49.5. So those are the prop bets. Let's say New Year's was kind of rough for you. Let's say you're still trying to pay off some of those Christmas and holiday bills. Fear not. The cheapest man alive, the king of the $2 bet, Rob Kendall is here to teach you how to ball on a budget.
This happens to be a $100 minimum bet table. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at one of our lower stakes tables.
Oh! All right, you cheapskates. It's time for Rob Kendall's Ballin' on a Budget.
Very tight with $1.
All right, cheap ass, what do we got?
All right, the Ravens are 17.5-point favorites against the Browns. I'm not doing that. We're buying the Ravens down to 6.5. The Bucks, who knows who's going to play in that one? Like we said, it's 13. That's a lot. I'm not doing that. I'm buying them down to 6.5. The Broncos, as you said, Chiefs got a lot of pride. I don't think they'll win the game, but I don't think they're going to win by 10. We'll buy that down to 2.5. And the Falcons, they were an 8.5-point favorite over the Panthers. I'm buying that down to 2.5. So Ravens minus 6.5, Bucks minus 6.5, Broncos minus 2.5, Falcons minus 2.5. Put them all together, you get plus 147. $10 bet pays you $14.69.
And that is how you ball on a budget and buy a crap ton of points. All right, let's recap the board. I'm on the Lions at home, minus 2.5. Give me Kansas City, plus 10.5. Jets, money line. Colts, Jags, over 45. Houston Texans, first half money line.
The old Brit buy down, as we like to call it. All right, I have Lions and Vikings over 55.5. Packers will beat the crap out of the Bears, giving 10. Bengals minus 1.5 against the Steelers. Colts, I'm just going to go ahead and call this one a loss right now, minus 4.5 against the Jags. And the Bucks minus 13 versus the Saints.
All right, those are our picks for Week 18 of the NFL. And again, I have to go at least 3-2 to guarantee the winning season. Now, we still got playoff games coming up, Rob. Still got the NFL playoffs coming up, but this is a big week for me. Got to have a winning week this week, and we'll see what happens. For Rob Kendall, for our professional NFL handicapper, Kenny Britt of KB Sports, and the awesome folks at StatFactory.io, I am Jason Hammer. We will be back next Tuesday talking a little college football, Final Four, and maybe start dipping our toe into some basketball as well. We are the Degenerates Next Door, and as always, may the odds be ever in your favor.